AOMA first here, Johnny. I mean, this is a team which has just been good throughout the season, but it just seemed like they could never take it to that next level.
Yeah, they were on the come-up in Stage 3, and that's when we really became familiar with, Top Dragon and Donghun, who's made a name for himself on this roster. But that was in a bit of a different meta, and now we're in this kind of like Space Goats, kind of like composition instead, and we're seeing them have a bit of a bumpy group stage, had 2 really competitive matches against Peps, of course. But now you're playing a different beast. You're going up against the Reinhardt compositions, and the good signs are that when I watch a one-man army play, I like their setups. I like the way they think, I like the way they set up their fights, and I like their positioning going into fights. So if you're that cerebral of a team and you're not necessarily relying on mechanical skill too much, although Top Dragon, literal beast, that is a good sign going into a Reinhardt match, because you can out-position the Reinhardt, you can counterpick the Reinhardt, and perhaps you won't be caught off guard as much when you're going up against Cloudy, who just looks to establish dominance in the server.
I mean, that's the thing with SRPeakCheck. You know exactly what you're going to get. That's it. Everything is out on the table.
Ryan, we get Ghost 91 on the BAP. I think this is going to be an exciting team to watch. I fear there is a possibility for them to just get ultra hard countered with, I think probably the best picks are like this Bastion, Genji, Orisa that we've seen from some teams in NA. I think that is the strongest counter possible. But I am curious to see the take that AOMA has on this and whether they can go toe-to-toe, because, this Ryan Juno BAP, it actually sports a lot of poke damage, like more than you would traditionally associate with a Ryan comp. There's always the pin variable, right? There's always the shatter variable, so you can strategize all you want, but at the end of the day, you gotta take down that Reinhardt. You gotta get him off the car. You gotta blast him out of the server. We'll see if AOMA has what it takes.
But I feel like if you've watched AOMA throughout the last few stages, they've shown quite a bit of versatility. I felt like we've seen the flexibility in the different group stages, that we're able to adapt against quite a few odd comms out. So looking at SRPeakCheck, again, we kind of know what we're going to get from them, so I'm going to give this one to AOMA. I do think that SRPeakCheck might be able to sneak one away, but that's about it. AOMA has to be the favorite here.
I agree with you, Zoe. I think there's maybe a cheesy map pick in here that maybe like a sim strat gets it done, but I have a lot of faith in Top Dragon. I think he's kind of the one who has to deliver, and especially, his Genji could be key here against the Rhine. But I think he's got what it takes, and he's absolutely able to do that, able to go toe-to-toe. And I think Cloudy might be in a world of hurt. The higher you get, the higher level. Like, Ryan is a strong hero, I think, for most players playing at home, but at this professional level, the hard counters are just executed so flawlessly.
Why are you smiling? Like,
I'm so excited about this.
Like,
really, I am so freaking excited about this. I went with a 3-2 to AOMA. I'm sorry, but I am expecting this to be fun, because the way you play Ryan these days is, it's not 2016 anymore. You don't just walk up with a shield and you're like, swing a little bit. No, like, the way to play is literally to disrupt the game, okay? It's to pressure the high grounds, pin around, just cause chaos. No one can take you in like a close melee range duel, unless you're like on a Reese or something. Just pin into the back line, pin around the map, make it difficult for the opponent to rotate, and that's how you discover extra angles to get the kills required. So I just want Eldritch Cloudy to just charge over the place, get some Orisa cooldowns out, and land a fat shatter. That's all I ask for.
All he asks for.
Is that so much?
He's a simple man asking for.
Let's go, Chad. Yeah, let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
The copium is so strong.
The community wants some
never
fun.
know.
I mean, this is not.
It could happen.
It's not an insane prediction. Maybe a little bit, but
no, it's
not.
Insane.
Hey, this is EMEA, okay? Your little NAers,
right,
you don't know. You don't know.
Maybe AOMA doesn't know what to do. Maybe they're cut flat-footed.
Yeah, probably not. But I love that. Community, I respect you. You know who else I respect? Of course, our esteemed casters for this one. Matt and Mitch, are you ready to have some fun?
Yeah, I'm not an NA sayer like Jake is,
That's right,
I do believe. I also do think, though, that like Johnny was talking about how good the Rhine is at close quarters, and then the only exception was the Orisa.
Walk away. Go somewhere else.
Yeah, don't get speared by the back.
Don't get spun by the javelin.
Don't get ulted.
Don't get looked at. Also, there's obviously the Bastion to consider. Something that we observed, I think, through the group stages, when Comp's playing against these Rhine setups, you can, as the Rhine, set pretty big shatters up in these situations, because obviously the Orisa is not a shield tank, and if she doesn't... Come on. Let me inject some silly sauce. If she doesn't have her Fortify up, you definitely can hit multiple targets with shatter, but in NA it didn't go very well. I'll say that much.
Can you live?
Can you live?
Can you get close to even get that shatter up? I mean, like how Jake mentioned, we saw Wub play Bastion and just tear through Reinhardt. You know, maybe we see that here. But especially knowing that the team wants to play Reinhardt the entire time, you can definitely game plan for that. We'll see if that. Well, look at this. I mean, right off the bat, it looks like one-man army. They've seen North America and they know how to deal with it.
From my perspective, SRPeakCheck are giving written permission to every team to play like a hard counter into their Reinhardt comp. They know that. They're priced into that. Cloudy's been doing this all year. And they're going to still try and find a way around it. Fire going to be on the Junkrat here. Pretty effective here on Control Center. A lot of poke damage to be gotten there as already you see Avo and Fire both take a face full of damage.
Yeah, as I know, the Junkrat is gonna deter a little bit, right? Just put down some serious damage. But okay, there you go. Just knock that bash into the sky. So it comes on a little bit of a flank there as right now, at least I know behind this Junkrat getting off to a decent start, but you lose your back. That's massive, right? The immortality field, that's going to be able to keep everybody alive. And here we go, a little flank Junkrat.
I mean, Fire just needs one more remote mine available there. If he can double mine that Genji, they're dead. The top Dragon's able to throw up that deflect and stop the, you know, the primary fire coming in. Off angle here for Ice Nom. Pressure on that Cloudy shield as he tries to break line of sight through the middle part of the map, and Ice Nom's denying that opportunity. But Ghost is back in the fight here. Denon put into the blender for a time, able to emerge, stumble out of it. But Ghost has lost yet another immortality field, and this is where a one-man army needs to strike.
Yeah, they back up a little bit though because they're going to get this orbital ray, right? So they're going to back up behind. Now use the orbital ray from Alpha and try and push on in. It'll be Avo using the Wheels mode, takes out the Sim. Doesn't exactly get that Reinhardt, but you're just going to be able to do that over time.
Yeah, I mean, Cloudy in the middle of that one-man army roster, but against that orbital ray, it's hard for him to get enough damage, but he survives. That's what matters to fight later when the orbital ray comes online for Ilpi. Here comes the blade though for Top Dragon into the backline. A deflect kill on the Juno, whilst Alpha goes to work on Fire. It takes time for a one-man army to break this Rhine shell down, but they do have an advantage now. Dongun deep in enemy territory. Cloudy doesn't really notice him. He's all busy dealing with Ice Nom here, and the Sim wall is great against his poke damage, against the Bastion pressure. Cloudy, though, stunned up, got to be forced back. A Riptire in reserve for Fire. Trying to sneak it across there, and ultimately can't get much done with it.
Yeah, as both teams separate there, for just a brief moment, SRPeakCheck trying to get healed, and then one-man army scared that tire is going to come on through. So yeah, you do get the Orisa. Can the Rhine step up? The Junkrat really here for SRPeakCheck doing a nice job just pushing them back. That's going to be the mortar strike just dropped right on top of Avo as you do get the point flipped, but it's going to go right back to SRPeakCheck.
Something that Cloudy's trying to do is to break LOS here, but if he leaves his shield up, the shield can sometimes protrude through the walls around to the open and still be able to be shot by Avo. So he does need to drop that, otherwise he's giving free value away and making it take longer for him to get back into the fight. But SRPeakCheck, I think, are playing pretty well around this. I think the Junkrat's actually a key part of their gameplay to pop, you know, Avo up, and a one-man army are forced off the Bastion comp.
Yeah, I think the Junk is really giving them trouble, just putting down a lot of damage. Same with that Sim, right, for the extra mobility. Orbital Ray here used there for SRPeakCheck, but you end up losing Ghost with that Amp Matrix, which would have been useful.
That was classy from Donghun. That's a scary fight to try and win out as the Junkrat is pressuring you with those grenades. But the shield lasts just long enough for Donghun to get a whip shot and a kill onto Fire. And one-man army here. So, look, go again with a composition that maybe isn't always necessarily favored against the Rhine. They're no longer countering it directly, as opposed to going to something that's generally strong.
Yeah, what's good here for a one-man army, though, is the amount of heal pressure you can put down with the Ash Dynamites and then potentially finish off some of these kills with the Genji. It's Top Dragon will blade here. It'll be a tire here from Fire. Going to get taken out over the points. I'm not going to get anything here. It's going to be Top Dragon's blade.
Right here, again, Ghost is having a tough time this game. Constantly having those drones forced out of him. And often going down early on in these fights. One-man army getting a ton of value out of the Top Dragon Genji here.
Right, so the last Shatter didn't really do much of anything. I actually think the Shatter was directly into Ice Nom using the Terror Search, so it didn't really result in much. That same kind of interaction available again here is, you know, you're going to ditch the Junkrat, go with an Ash of your own.
Okay, Air Matrix up here for Ghost. Fire can make use of that, I guess. That's about it, though. It's the sim wall. Less valuable now than it was against the Bastion. Will, in theory, allow SRPeakCheck to move up towards the point, and Ice Storm falls here. Ready for Dongun. He's going to shield bash away from the encroaching Cloudy. And then Orisa needs to be stalled for in order to return back to this fight, but great prediction there by Cloudy. Perfect pin. That'll be Dongun out of the fight.
Yeah, just can you flip it? It's going to be Abo end up using the Bob here. It's going to put some damage down onto Ghost and the supports. Oh, and they actually get Ghost. Their Top Dragon finishes him off. That's
Really hard to kill Alpha as well inside his orbital ray right now. Top Dragon sat behind Cloudy, who went for a shatter, but it was desperation.
Hammer
and
down.
Nothing more. Yeah, hammer down, Cloudy down. That's a round for one-man army.
Yeah, Johnny, I don't know if you saw this Nintendo thing the other day. Johnny was hyping up the Reinhardt like it was going to be the Switch 2, and they got the Alarmo there. You know, just the alarm clock reveal. It's tough. It's hyping up this Reinhardt like it's going to be, you know, the second coming. 0 for 2 on the shatter thus far. But I do think they did a nice job, though, in terms of playing like that Junkrat and really forcing them off of that Bastion comp. I definitely think that gave them some trouble.
Yeah, I think counting it back, Cloudy got one Earth Shatter stun. It was on Top Dragon. That was the first shatter we saw. The next two were less than convincing. So one-man army have shown that they can play this like fairly standard comp and still make life very hard for SRPeakCheck. They've got good spam damage still with that Orisa. TP onto the point here for SRPeakCheck, a classic move. They still want to keep this sim in play. Danator has been stuck to this for the entirety of Lijiang Tower.
I mean, the sim with the Reinhardt, really has become almost kind of like a staple hero in the mix with the Rein, right? Just giving the Rein that extra mobility right there, using the TP, getting out of harm's way, now trying to put that Rein in a good position.
Yeah, nice little TP. Good rotation here for SRPeakCheck as they had the space taken away from them. Now the TP here, that's to the back of the point now, should they choose to take it. Cloudy with a very healthy shield here, and Ice Storm caught without Fortify potentially. Yep, Cloudy stops the charge short and guarantees the kill on the Orisa. That's classy.
Yeah, and this is a really good look here for SRPeakCheck versus what a one-man army is running, right? I know the Reaper can definitely give a lot of problems with fighting on the point. Like a one-man army, you think like a Pharah here could definitely cause some chaos, right? I know Rein, Sim, Reaper don't really have a great interaction with Pharah. You can kind of just wilt them down over time. You'd probably see them start to get quite aggressive with the TPs and trying to gate some of that, you know, just kind of chunk damage over time. But see, if one-man army can break back in, that's going to be an Air Matrix used there, just in like a 2v2 scenario.
Yeah, and it's no one that really benefits from the Air Matrix. Ghost can actually use it for himself with impunity there, and it's a great little anti-flank mechanism. Top Dragon also is a pretty prolific Echo player, likely has some Pharah as well, so as good as that pick is, a one-man army are playing for this Dragon Blade instead, but they're giving up capture progress in order to set this up.
Yeah, getting closer towards a blade here, right? So no thought of changing. It's going to be Bob thrown in, but another nice sim wall here from Den.
Yeah, lets you kite that Bob damage, mostly Cloudy. Pretty much unbothered by it entirely. Here's a blade for Top Dragon. This better work, otherwise we be switching, folks. And of course, the prescribed response is that immortality field, but good Terror Surge catches Ghost inside of it. After Top Dragon is able to blade the drone out of existence. Now one-man army definitely with an advantage. Yulpi goes over the edge. And Fire's only able to find one for the fight.
Yeah, but still, for SRPeakCheck, I mean, this is phenomenal, right? Up to 88% on the point. You end up holding on to your Orbital Ray Shatter, Death Blossom. Sick combination of ultimates you have available here for SRPeakCheck to be able to flip this back. And they already have almost 90% on the point. So great spot for them.
Oh my God!
Not a great spot
I think
anymore.
Dongun just got a 3 or 4 player stun during that play, that rally. That was disgusting.
Okay. So, yeah, you're in a great spot in terms of ultimates, and they just run on in and just...
Oh, that ended me. And look at Top Dragon's ult charge. Oh my God.
They're scared to, like, even move up here at this point.
Oh, buddy. Okay. Let's try that again. Fire getting to the point here. Orbital Ray Death Blossom. I call that photosynthesis. Going to be a very strong combination here. Cloudy, though, down to some dynamite, so good luck getting close enough to make use of this. Still, SRPeakCheck committing. They do flip the point, so they're kind of hoping to hold it here. One-man army are aware. They've moved up to contest here. Cloudy now just returning to the fight, so SRPeakCheck can still let these ultimates go, but they don't have the orbital rate anymore. It's Ant Matrix here, which will force one-man army to play off the point for the next couple seconds. Nice little shatter. Donghun had his shield up, though, now the blade for Top Dragon. That's 2 in 2 fights, folks. Big Genji value, but this blade looks a little blunt.
Yeah, and Avo ends up using the Bob there, so just both teams doing absolutely everything. One-man army actually does flip the point back. It'll be a TP away from Fi here. This will be a terrorist.
Oh, no!
That's going to get a both supports. I mean, that is nasty.
Fight to the rescue. He's got to save the day here. Encroaching on Avo. Good couple of kills. But the point's still under one-man army control. And there's 2 supports up for Aoma, which means that SRPeakCheck are going to have to regroup, try again. Sim Turret TP rather gets one to the point. Here comes Cloudy already. Danhead setting up the infrastructure as they flip back. And we'll be in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, 5 is like one shot there, and the same with Cloudy, so they couldn't actually go on in and kind of contest both supports. It'll be another nice sim wall here.
So good.
From
The wall
Donut.
is so good, but there's an orbital raid here for Alpha now. Here come a one-man army. Icenom into the back line. They're basically ignoring Reinhardt for the most part. As Cloudy goes and gets a pin kill on Alpha. Ghost, though, is in trouble. Tries to get airborne, can't get away. Now that TP dealt with, his Fi is able to pick up Avo. At the very least, an orbital raid comes up now for SRPeakCheck, but Ilpi's low. Not able to stay alive. Donghun, a raid boss, absolutely taking this round over on the brig. Will help them with a couple big kills there. Danhead is low, but gets a TP up. Fi is out of the picture, not on the point. Forced to back away, and it has to be a regroup again for SRPeakCheck.
Oh, 5 barely able to live yet again. Gonna have another Death Blossom here. Is then gonna go over the Genji, try and get back and get a touch. Ice on the ball here as we're getting a little crazy.
Tracer as well for Avo. Danhead coming back on the bench. Here's the Blossom. Donghun respects it. Backs away from it. That ultimate goes for very little, but an Ant Matrix out in the open might just be what the Doctor ordered, and Baptiste would know. Top Dragon Blade, though, gets rid of the Immortality Field as Icenom's able to find the Baptiste. Ilpi's down. No supports left here at all for SRPeakCheck. A Shatter could save the day, but Cloudy, unfortunately, can't get it off before he's taken down. And it's a close fight in the end, and a one-man army don't have to hard counter this Ryan comp. They've got the antidote themselves.
Yeah, you know, it's so difficult. Like Johnny mentioned, right? Like the old way of playing Reinhardt, right? Just holding the shield, moving up, taking the space. And, you know, it's great that Reinhardt can, like, brawl with, you know, the tanks up close. The issue that Reinhardt has is, like, all of the other tanks can do damage while also protecting themselves in some way, right? Reinhardt can't. He can either protect himself or he can do damage. But then he's also not sturdy enough to live while trying to do damage. So you see a lot of the times where, you know, Cloudy gets into a great position to actually lay down some damage and do some serious stuff, but you're able to burst that Reinhardt down so fast. You know, like a Reset, right, can, you know, fortify while doing damage. Like you think about all the tanks in the roster, right? Has some damage mitigation while also being able to do damage. I mean, Reinhardt, it's not there.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the pin, I guess, is his only way of doing that while having some sort of mobility. But yeah, he really is
using your head as like a, you know, like a battering ram to protect yourself is not.
Reinhardt, definitely
not the best way to go about it.
You know, employee of the month of the company that busts rocks with heads over there. That's really all he can sort of do. Very static and requires that play style, but the sim looks good in that composition for that reason, right? Ryan can play from pretty comfortably behind that zone. This is disgusting. This is absolutely gross here from Donghun. I mean, yeah, there is an orbital array in play, so I will say that, but that multi-stun, and Top Dragon gets like 60% of his blade, so that the next fight he basically has it online after poking a whole bunch. And it's been good. I mean, it's been crucial in that it forces out that immortality field very early for Ghost and can often result in a kill after the fact. But that last fight, I think Ghost loses Immo, and then Icenom just turns up, I guess, pile drives to Baptiste and is able to find the kill there. Really nicely done. SRPeakCheck have a Baptiste, that's why the healing stats look a little bit better, but I'm looking at the deaths here. You have a Baptiste on your team, you have a Ryan comp, you have, in theory, like a pretty compact, close-together comp that even has inherent lifesteal in terms of the Reaper, and you still can't buy a kill. That is tough stuff.
I mean, it's a difficult situation, right? Because to play that Ryan, you got to play so much around that hero with the rest of the team, and if it's not working out, you're going to see games like that. I know, just a one-man army. I mean, look, SRPeakCheck, they were close at times, right? I think they did a nice job with that Junkrat, forcing them off of the Bastion type of setup. But even still, after all of that, not enough.
No, I mean, it came close. That's worth pointing out. And a good start there for SRPeakCheck on that second round, of course, of Night Market. The Sim TPs look good. There was a lot of these, quick rotations that they were making happen, which was great. But in general, Aoma had the capacity to react to them. I think Ghost, we see like an Ant Matrix, he just uses for himself. It allows him to kill a flanking player.
Who else is using it?
No one, not in that comp. Unless you want to try and set up a Fire Strike play with the Ant Matrix. But heroes in Overwatch now have a little bit more than 200 health, most of them, or a lot of them, especially sort of DPS. So it can be a little bit harder to guarantee a ton of value. It's a comp also that in theory works really well with Juno's ultimate. Right? Play inside the Orbital Array, you have Rhine, Reaper, Sim, all this stuff that...
But the other team's got orbital array too. It's not like you're the only one with access to it, right? The other team's gonna, hey, you orbital array, guess what? They orbital array right back. And then they also have the Orisa, who's a lot more sturdy.
We mentioned maybe the Pharah could be good against that composition. Top Dragon's Genji though was pretty fantastic all through that round. Of course, we are here in Stage 4 in our main event to try and decide who is heading over to Stockholm for our OWCS Finals. Tickets, of course, are on sale for that today. It's going to be at DreamHack Stockholm, so not just OWCS, a whole lot of esports happening in one of the, I guess, the most historical esports parts of the world. DreamHack.com/Stockholm for tickets. Matt's very excited about the Old Town in Stockholm.
Dude, well, I have confirmation there is an Old Town. I've been talking about Old Town for a few weeks now, and I have confirmation via reinforced
in Europe,
that there is an Old
chance most towns have an Old Town.
There's an ABBA museum that me and Mitch plan to go to together. A little ABBA museum we're gonna go hang out at. So it's gonna be a good time.
I'm glad I've been volunteered for that that experience. Yeah, I'm not super over the moon about that. I want to eat some Swedish food, though. I'm sure we can tee that up, Matt. My people talk to your people. Let's talk map pool here. We've got hybrid, of course. Clash/Flash, push and escort on the table still here for
the Flash
and Flash. Of course, this is a map pick for SRPeakCheck.
And what do you even want to
push, play Ryan,
go
try and
to
win
here with the right now? Okay, so Runasapi, I thought potentially you also could play Rialto. Rialto is actually one where Ryan you can actually do some nice things with. So there'll be Runasapi here, the SRPeakCheck choice. Potentially, if you lose this, it's like you're looking at what, Kings or Rialto, one of the two, probably your next best option.
I agree. Or I mean, I don't know if you can afford to play Ryan on a Flashpoint map, right? Maybe Suravasa is applicable, but I wouldn't be super excited about trying to play that style. Nonetheless,
I think there's just too much ground to make up. That's the one thing I worry about here at Runasapi, right? There's so much ground to cover. I feel like you can play Ashe on the high ground if you're a one-man army, right? And just the Orisa is going to live, right?
I think that Ryan is acceptable here. It's somewhat reasonable. I do think that again, with the high ground offered to you, mind you, less high ground than any other push map for defenders. There are some parts that you could sort of make use of it here. But SRPeakCheck as well, this first fight is going to be very interesting because they also want to play in that little sort of alcove in the middle of the map. And they're going to need to come forward because they have Reaper. Either he does the Reaper guy thing and comes in from the side, or he plays as part of that main thrust in the front line with the Rhine.
Yeah, as a one-man army, they do play the Ashe right off the rip. I like this decision. I think the Ashe with the Dynamites can cause a lot of trouble here for SRPeakCheck. Really good sightlines.
5v hunting on a flank here. TPing now up to the rest of his team. I think he realizes he's discovered there a little bit, so now wants to occupy the front line, and Top Dragon collapses. Maybe just an overextension there. Fire Strike pretty good there, were it not for Javelin Spin. This is what Cloudy has to do to mimic a fraction of Orisa's power. But either way, SRPeakCheck win that handling.
Yeah, Zach kill on a Top Dragon early. He's trying to poke from that side room, and they just all commit onto him, and there's nothing you could do there for Top Dragon. No healing or support's going to be able to keep him alive, so you lose him early on. Fi comes in on a little bit of a flank, and it's a first fight win there for SRPeakCheck.
Nice hit by us on there, sort of preempts the TP. Also, that's something important on this map as well. Will allow you to get on the high ground with this Rhine comp. Avo just caught out of position there. I think a one-man army is struggling to keep track with SRPeakCheck's little, little setups, these little TP plays. And in general, they're just caught out in the open.
Yeah, I mean, this is good so far here for SRPeakCheck, right? They're going to get the checkpoint. Definitely think that the TPs, whether you use them or fake, definitely catch them off guard. Now, I'm curious. So this is what I thought like you could see potentially on map 1, right? I was talking about how the Pharah, just that constant poke damage could just be such a nuisance. Let's see if it pays
I wonder
off.
if it's enough or if it just gives more things for Ghost to heal and lets him get more of these amp matrices available. Icedom has to play an off angle here. Meanwhile, we're getting to triple digits already. SRPeakCheck threatening to run away with this one. Orbital Ray comes out for the attackers, I'll call them here. The top dragon goes down to Ghost, so the Pharah not impervious, even though she's airborne against this comp. Terror Surge was hoping to catch Ilpi, but Icedom has to go and do it the old-fashioned way, getting his hands dirty, diving into Danette here. And they'll get to play the game at the very least. The one-man army, though, have given up so much of the map.
Yeah, it's a lot of progress gotten by SRPeakCheck right off the rip. It's about as good a start as you could ask for. It's a one-man army. Keep getting the bot back towards a mid-map here, and now we'll have another fight where about mid-map even strength. But one-man army doesn't really have much to work with. This sim wall is going to be really devastating to the
Done
bar.
as well. Alpha gets punished up in mid-air, as that's just Ghost bringing them down. This is kind of why you do have heroes that can still shoot at airborne heroes, even if they're not sort of designed for that purpose. Still works out just fine with the Juno and the Baptiste. Danette falls, but that's maybe an expected result there for SRPeakCheck. It's the bomb that they've got to respect here now a little bit, as Ghost does Immortality Field to protect them from it. The fire spam now comes back into play. Donglin?
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Rally here.
Cloudy low, very low. Yeah, trying to fight into that rally is an interesting decision.
Well, I mean, what is he going to do, right? I mean, I think he gets stunned up. You're also taking tons of damage from the Pharah, and you don't really have anybody with sight lines of it. This is going to be the Immortality Field used. Does not matter. So the cleanup crew comes in for a one-man army. So they'll finally start to get some progress here with the bot. I think this next fight will be crucial, Midge. SRPeakCheck's going to have an orbital ray, right? You don't want to give up much progress here. Let a one-man army start to snowball. But a one-man army does end up having this rocket barrage, right? Rocket barrage, Terror Surge potentially inside of that orbital ray. So you do lose the sim. You're also going to lose Avo on the other side. I think the sim, though, is a massive loss, right? That's a lot of the mobility for the team.
That Fortify is no longer available, Matt. Cloudy can come in with a Shaddy here. Opts not to. Second Fortify, of course, with their Terror Surge. Now, definitely none of those. Yep, available. Decent timing. Icedom going to be knocked to the ground there. As Alpha also stunned up briefly, but the orbital raised in a pretty fortuitous position. Kind of, though, with that MTD coming through.
Yeah, the amount of healing, though, that the supports have to put down on the Cloudy to keep him alive. I mean, just getting chunked down by the Pharah, taking tons of damage there from the Terror Surge is just a really difficult task for the supports on SRPeakCheck, as Ghost getting very close towards another amp matrix here. Is about halfway through the game. SRPeakCheck with a pretty commanding lead.
Yeah, 105 to 44. Quite significant. Fi biding his time here, waiting for a one-man army to push it up a little. No ultimates he's really looking to combine with here. But just start to put that extra pressure down on the Orisa when she pushes up. And they're none the wiser. Still Top Dragon. Okay, gets away with that one. Fi now has to back away. Might look to actually reassume that flanking spot, though.
A one-man army, right? You've just kind of like been poking here in the streets. You end up, I was gonna say, building up towards a Bob, building up towards another barrage into rally, and then maybe you were gonna attack, but you've lost Avo here. So one-man army doesn't want to give up even more progress. That's gonna be the barrage that goes for nothing.
So what a one-man army ran into there was a trap play set up in that side room. It wasn't just Fi standing there waiting. It was a bunch of sim turrets as well. So the moment someone from a one-man army just goes into that spot, they're basically dead. Top Dragon had the mobility, of course, for Pharah to get out, but Avo was not nearly as lucky.
Yeah, it's essentially the car wash setup, right? It's right around where Fi is playing, so you get all the sim turrets around there. You go and try and put pressure onto that Reaper, you're going to get slowed down, take a lot of damage.
Car wash, I say clock cleaning, but the result is the same. Here's the Bob. Avo able to find the dynamite kill on Ghost as well, so all the supports are nuked. But this is a huge comeback that a one-man army would have to put together. And SRPeakCheck did spend the orbital ray in that fight.
a one-man army will end up having both Orbital Ray and Rally here for this fight, right? So you think that's a, pretty strong combo to be able to win a fight. You get checkpoint, then you're like, a fight or two away. I mean, it's not out of the question here for a one-man army. I think SRPeakCheck should get back towards mid-map and take a fight around there.
It's still dangerous, though. A one-man army can't fight in the side rooms. This needs to be a kill from Avo. Good pressure on the back line, force an early immortality field. Oh, and the emergence to deal with Ilpi. That's beautiful. Avo's had a fantastic couple of fights here, Matt.
Man, that's a worst case scenario as well because no ultimates used. Oh, look at this. I mean, Cloudy and Fi actually moving away with the cart. So this is actually pretty good now. So that actually gets the bot back towards mid-map. I mean, that kind of negates those 2 early deaths from the supports. I mean, that is huge.
That is unbelievably troll. Cloudy leads the bot away. Well, that right there encapsulates Ryan in this meta right now. There was a shield and Ice Storm had the fortify. So that shadow just gets shrugged off. Got to go for it though if you're Cloudy. Look for a chance to make it happen. Okay, so Matrix going to be walked into here. They do have to respect that, but not many heroes can fight through it on SRPeakCheck's side. So Orbital Ray is going to get a one-man army back around the corner. That is, though, at the cost of both of their support ultimates. And still an important fight to win. They may need to win another, before this checkpoint, though.
Yeah, I think they probably felt there was an absolute must-win type of scenario there. You needed to get the bot moving deeper into SRPeakCheck territory, and you had to kind of invest those ultimates, right? That it wasn't going to happen any other way. You didn't want to risk them kind of running away with that bot yet again. It's going to be a nice sim wall. And look at that. I mean, Top Dragon on a flank with the Pharah, but that sim wall is going to really negate, what potentially would have
did forces a disengage for a time for a one-man army. Walls come down now, though, so it's anyone's game here. Ice Storm doesn't want any of it. Fi front and center. Maybe a risk of overextending, and Ice Storm was hoping that was the case, but he of course had his defensive cooldowns. Great spot for Bob. He can see everything right now. But the bot is being taken away again from a one-man army. They have to fight for this now, and they have to run into the Reaper.
So Reaper gets 2, but oh yeah, look at this. Just jumps down as Avo gets another here. Is the bot back a little bit towards mid-map. You saw Cloudy here live, and now you're going to lose him as Fi takes out 1. You're going to get a 1v1 against Ice Gnome, and Ice Gnome ends up winning it. But still, you're not going to give up much, if anything, here for SRPeakCheck because you just push the bot. You kind of use that Orbital Ray, you put some pressure down with that sim wall, right? You force a one-man army back into that corner into retreat, and you just run away with that bot.
50 seconds left. SRPeakCheck have a sim TP, rather, lets them get back into fighting position much quickly than otherwise it would be. Ice Storm almost took too much damage there, able to stay alive. Very well done, well timed for them to get out of trouble there. Now, displacement is the name of the game. Top Dragon a little bit low, the flank. No one's looking at Danad right now. He's just firing orbs into a one-man army, and that's going to put them to bed. I don't see how you're supposed to come back from this, Matt.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult, almost impossible. 20 seconds left. There goes the rally. SRPeakCheck has really dominated here on Runasapi. Whatever comp that one-man army is thrown at them, they've been able to deal with it with this Reinhardt.
Yeah, talking about picking a map and comp that really works for you. Ice Storm shattered here. No fortifier left for the ball. Finally, Cloudy gets his satisfaction. And SRPeakCheck get their map.
Yeah, they do a great job of maneuvering the Rhine around the map, having the Reaper there, the long-range hit scan and the poke with the Ashe and the Pharah wasn't really that impactful. I thought the sim wall as well, especially when they want to poke with that much damage, definitely gives them some trouble. So SRPeakCheck ties it up.
You see, multiple occasions, a one-man army had to full disengage as soon as Danad throws that Symmetra wall down because there's really no point fighting in such a battle that slanted so heavily against them. We saw the Ryan get a lot of value. The Sim also is a key part of this package, and it's not the first time we've seen Sim and Ryan joined at the hip with so many of these comps. That's how you really work around his lack of mobility, and I've got to say, you have to be on the same page as a team to get use of those TPs. Here as well, we had some sort of moments. This was that first fight here. Top Dragon gets picked off very early on, and that gets exacerbated very quickly. We're 2 minutes in and already at triple digits here, and I think statistically, falling to triple digits so early in the round, I think it's very rare we see a team bounce back from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is brutal, right? I know a fantastic start with the Reinhardt is exactly what they needed here on this map for SRPeakCheck. So seeing that happen here at the start, especially getting that kill on the top dragon, it's really important.
And it makes me wonder if they now need to pick Blizzard World in order to deny a hybrid map away that could otherwise be chosen in a way that suits Ryan a little bit more. Or, you know, just try and get a guaranteed map win and take us to like a flashpoint map, for example. One that not so easy for Ryan to get success, maybe even like a New Junk City or something similar. But see, over the course of this game, right, it's that very similar comp that, you know, we saw Ioma stick to. They brought Farah in. Now, you think Farah against Sim Reaper looks very, very good, right? Well, yeah, that's not counting the fact that, like, Ghost is going to shoot you. The Juno is also going to shoot you. The torpedoes are guaranteed hits against you when you're out in line of sight. There are like lots of poke damage, lots of chunks that can come at you that can still punish you. But this to me is quite surprising, right? I mean, less deaths on a one-man army, but denied opportunities to fight on a number of occasions because SRPeakCheck just kept stealing the bot away.
I do feel like though SRPeakCheck, right? Like they just want to take tons of fights, right? It's not, you know, it's not a comp that is going to be high in KD, right? You're just going to have some fights that it's going to be really difficult. I think it's just the amount of fights that they get, right? No, just constantly fighting. That's what that comp wants to do.
No doubt about it. They do it awfully well. And if they also feel like they're not favored in a fight, like we've seen Cloudy just take the bot and sort of reset it and basically make that fight useless because it takes like a good 8 to 10 seconds, if not more, to get the bot back to where it was in the first place. And by that point, SRPeakCheck have returned to the fight, in theory now, without the ultimate disadvantage that put them behind the 8-ball in the first fight.
There was a fight where a one-man army, they ended up killing both SRPeakCheck supports mid-map and really gained absolutely no bot progress from it. I mean, that's a crazy scenario.
That's a macro problem, just, I think, for a one-man army on a push map. Yeah. No other way about it.
I mean, that's bad.
And again, like you're being allowed to play a comp that's just fundamentally supposed to be very strong against what a one-man army have. But when these symbols come up, you mentioned it during the cast, the Farah's pretty useless. I mean, she cannot so go for like a flank play. She cannot get free poke damage down, and the battle line moves uncomfortably close to, you know, your Orisa comp with this Reinhardt emerging, and you get like 10% of the amount of time to actually shoot at the guy. So here's your map pool here. We mentioned that like some maps to avoid if you don't want to lose to Ryan is like Rialto, for example. But, I mean, the rest of that Escort map pool can be pretty favorable, I think, for those compositions. I don't think there are a ton of amazing Ryan maps. I think King's Row is an option, but probably requires the sim in order to try and take control of the high ground, which is a kind of play pattern that is exploitable and telegraphed. You know what your opponents are trying to do, you know, as opposed to like a control map where you see them like TPing around the point, coming up from the rafters. Like, that's a little bit harder to predict outside of the first use of that. So Suravasa does get picked here. A one-man army feel like, Ryan is going to be disadvantaged on a flashpoint map.
Yeah, I mean, with the sim, right? I know you have a difficult time getting the Ryan in with just his shield. Just put a bigger wall up. Just kind of get behind that. Just get in the way. So Suravasa, I think it's going to be difficult, right? There's some really nice spots of high ground here, right? On a lot of the points.
I would like Top Dragon to play May, I think. On this map.
I do think the sim's going to help, though. I think the sim is going to help, like just kind of maneuvering around the map and obviously getting them into some of those weird spots.
So obviously, you can make Mabel on top of the sim TP, which can, I think, render it pretty hard to make use of. But just May on this map in general, I think we talked about this a little bit in NA over the last couple of weeks, has been really good for setting up these pick opportunities. There are some points that are a bit more open, but in general, they all have a system of chokes that, precedes them. So we've seen Top Dragon also, play some of those other picks here. Do think May is something that can catch a Rhino. It's quite powerful. He cannot simply activate rocket boosters and fly back over the wall and get back to the rest of his team. You can run him down. But in this era of Overwatch, the May wall is far less durable. Focus fire will break it down. So your window isn't as big as sort of you may think if you're referencing, May from the earlier eras of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I even still like the Farah. Like, I think that's still a realistic option for a one-man army. I think the May is a good shot as well, though. So May can definitely be good against Reinhardt. I mean, always pretty good historically against the hero. See what SRPeakCheck is going to decide to play here. This would be a little bit
Sigma. I'm so here for this. Okay, so
All right, so it's like, hey, guess what? They're playing. They think we're going to be Reinhardt. Guess what? We're going to have a Sigma-based
Sigma Bastion here for SRPeakCheck. Yeah, I'll defer judgment. It's obviously, again, a bit better than Ryan. In that, Sigma can sort of move up and poke down much more effectively. Still, getting sort of displaced as Sigma can be frustrating. Can take a while for you to get back into the position you need to be here. But SRPeakCheck do start with priority here. That is a relatively early immortality field that Top Dragon will deal with. You can't block an accretion though, buddy.
It's a nice stun. I mean, they're trying to get in there, make a play, and I mean, you see these sim turrets just slowing players down, putting down some damage, and then that accretion on the Top Dragon kicks things off, making it real easy to take the Genji
I like
out.
this. Yeah, this looks pretty good. The Bastion is an interesting mix. Again, look, works well against Ryan, but also works well in these shield compositions. Well, one man army, okay, they feel like they might need kinetic grasp here to sort of break up some of that Bastion damage, but we are going to a Sigma mirror. You never fail to
Man, this is getting in a bizarro territory here.
Okay. You never fail to impress me. I'll say that much. Let's see how this plays out. Obviously, in an Asher shell, good poke damage still for a one-man army. But again, that shield pressure of the Bastion might make it a little bit hard for Icenom to move up with the rest of their team. Then they got picked off by Alpha. And it's probably not what you're writing home about. With the Brig already off the map, it's that kill onto Fire that might be a difference maker. But, I mean, they're running out of time. One-man army going to go for an SRPeakCheck looking for a flux play. But an orbital ray here from Alpha is going to be able to heal them back up and let them onto the point.
Yeah, I think you just back up here. If you're SRPeakCheck, it's going to be
Ghost
using that immortality field, trying to stay alive, then just jumps out of it.
I think there's miscommunication there. I think Cloudy is moving up and grasping to try and get Ghost out of there, but he thinks that there's a play to be made from the high ground.
Yeah, and I thought potentially you were going to just like try and keep those two players alive and then come in and surprise them with a LP's orbital ray. It's not happened though.
Here's a flux from my one-man army. Orbital ray makes it hard to get anyone to half health before they drop down, so no guaranteed kills there. Donglin's rally is going to get one-man army back in position, but they won't have that to use during the fight itself. Bob's doing something apparently. Gets picked off rather quickly now. The Ghost has lost that immortality field. Top Dragon though, this is a little awkward. No deflect available. Dash was 1 second away, so just getting caught without cooldowns.
Yeah, well, it's a lot that he can't dodge, right? Whether it's nice accretion there from Cloudy, whether it's like the Sim Beam or the accretion, right? A lot that Top Dragon can't really deal with is this will be SRPeakCheck taking our first point here on Suravasa. There's just a lot that Top Dragon can't really do against that, where if he gets in that type of position, I mean, he's in a lot of trouble, right? We've seen that twice now, kind of playing from that position on the map and, you know, being that aggressive and getting caught out.
First flashpoint going over to the team with Bastion in this Sigma setup. Top Dragon with a blade, but again, it's always an uphill battle against the immortality field of Ghost 91. Icenom a little caught out there. That sim wall, devastating. But even outside of that, Icenom's positioning is very far removed from the rest of a one-man army.
Yeah, this is going to be the point going over to SRPeakCheck right off the rip, as we've seen it with the Reinhardt, now with the Sigma. I'm almost surprised that a one-man army wanted to match like the Sigma in this comp variation. SRPeakCheck's definitely gonna have the advantage in terms of damage output, right? The Sim being able to charge up on the shields, ramp damage, Bastion, Bap Juno, right? So this playing out pretty well for SRPeakCheck.
Blank time here. In we go. Gravitic Flux going to be used now from LH Cloudy. Defensively, catches Top Dragon inside of it, but not before he deals with damage. So he still gets his pound of flesh, so to speak. Fire's gone down, and Icenom has to give up his life to get that kill. That means that SRPeakCheck have the numbers as the dust settles.
Yeah, but both supports still stay alive throughout all of that for SRPeakCheck. So it's an Ant Matrix used there by Ghost, Immortality Field there as well. A nice defensive flux there from Cloudy, knowing that Top Dragon, playing the Genji at the time, going to go in with the blade as Top Dragon now will play the Pharah, where now there's really, I mean, just Ghost. I mean, I guess the Juno can also put some pressure down onto the Pharah, but really just one player to deal with that hero. Is that is actually nice. So Donghoon knocked down it off the side during the orbital raid for both teams.
Gannet actually TPs into an aggressive position to poke down at a one-man army, and then has the TP behind him destroyed. So he's actually out of position. One-man army move up, I think, with a hyper ring, so just that speed boost gets them there. And they pop rally, and they go for it. Big spend, though, for a one-man army, but that's how they stay in the game for this flashpoint.
Yeah, just one fight for SRPeakCheck, though, to take our second flashpoint. And guess what? We are back into the Reinhardt play.
That's so brilliant.
Oh, it's going to knock off the side. I mean, that is nasty work there from Cloudy.
I mean, that is something that Sigma has to be aware of. He can only really accretion to stop that stun, and he's just not very mobile in general. That's dirty. SRPeakCheck here should at this point flip back pretty quickly. Ice Storm going to switch to the Doomfist as if we're going to bail him out of this situation. I think Avo needs to find some big hits here, which is a tough ask with Reinhardt's shield still very much a factor in this fight. And that should be another flashpoint here. Top Dragon at least having a touch. This will let Ice Storm get on. Charge in. Fortify going to be used after the fact. Top Dragon able to get rid of Danet here, and Avo coming back in means that a one-man army have a real shot at this now. Fi, no Ice Block available apparently. And while SRPeakCheck flipped the point, it will be pushed off once more. Cloud shield a little bit too low to hang here. Now they're awkwardly positioned away from their team. They'll have to regroup.
Yeah, it looks like they decided to back up. It looks like SRPeakCheck actually had two players there. It looked like Cloudy was still alive and the Juno as well. And they decided to just back on out. Maybe say, hey, let's just take a beat here. One more fight to be able to do it. Is Ghost's going to have the NA Matrix looking over the point with that sim wall. I mean, this is a sick combo.
I mean, Top Dragon can't do much here at all, right? On both axes, the sim wall and the Ant Matrix makes it impossible for him to be part of the game. And Ghost is able to bring him down. That'll be 2 checkpoints for SRPeakCheck. And we do get our wish. We do get to see this Reinhardt now in Suravasa. Cloudy was counter-swapped. That's why Ice Storm has gone back to the Orisa. And I think Cloudy might look to stick around, maybe look for a shatter here, but yeah, we'll see how this plays out. We have a little bit of
you may as well, right? End up staying, using the shatter here. You've also had success already on this map. I know already in the series, playing this type of composition into what a one-man army is doing, right? So see how it kind of plays out as TP, then taking it back there. Or Cloud, just trying to make it difficult for the other team to gauge where they're exactly coming from.
Cloudy here steps up, keeping a very close eye on his Orisa cooldowns. Okay, that's a barrage. Cloudy forced away here. Good immortality field placement, though. I don't even think Top Dragon can see it from that angle. He eventually gets rid of it, but that counters out that Pharah ult. Still a one-man army, disengage away from the orbital strike. Or Ray, rather. Cloudy tries to wrap around the shatter coming from behind. We want to get excited. We so badly want to see Fatty Shaddy. But Cloudy, unfortunately, not able to give us one of those yet. And now this Pharah is going to start to make their day a little harder.
I mean, they're trying to kite this and get out. 3 players extremely low here. It's a one-man army trying to finish off Ghost and Iltby as they're going to finish off Ghost and now trying to double back towards the point on the players that are capping. Stunny gets one. Everybody gets out. So now let's see. Oh no, Fi does not trying to get out to be able to stay alive.
He was stuck in that corner. All right, so Cloudy's sticking to the Rhine here, playing that into the Orisa, trying to win the map on his signature hero. Here comes the rally. One-man army want to come forward. Terror Surge also an issue. Catches nothing but Ghost's immortality field, but Cloudy went so low very quickly, though. Ant Matrix from the Baptiste rather means that Cloudy can be healed up. Ghost able to find that kill on Alpha with that amped damage. Definitely one of the more vulnerable heroes that you know to a Baptiste ultimate combo. And I think somehow SRPeakCheck have won this fight, probably without the Ray, but here we are.
Yeah, I think they would have won it without the Ray as well. So Avo over to the Cassidy. I think, though, this gives them an opportunity where having control of the point, right, is going to be much easier for them to fight on. Think about Lijiang Tower, right, when they had controlled the point with this composition. Fight's much more drawn out, a lot harder to be able to flip that point back as SRPeakCheck going to get probably to about 70-75% here when this next one kicks off, as Avo made a few changes, went from the Ashe to the Cassidy, now over to the Bastion, and they get Ice Dome right off the rip. I mean, that is terrible.
Yeah, Ice Dome got charged into a bramble bush virtually as the Death Blossom was there, but it required a huge extension here for SRPeakCheck, and a use of that Reaper ultimate. And a one-man army were just able to poke down with the Bastion, who was a long way from the action.
Are you able to get another fight here if you're SRPeakCheck,
No.
or do you decide to give it up? We'll see. Looks like, yeah, it looks like they're going to end up giving up. I thought potentially, right, with the speed plus the sim TP, but they're going to give it up. I think that's the right decision here. So that's going to be the first flashpoint on the board here for a one-man army.
So you still want to play the Reinhardt. It's asking a lot. But again, Flashpoint only requires you to win basically 2 consecutive fights. Cloudy hoping he can string them together. They will be facing down an orbital ray though. And that's the reality of Reinhardt. They're hit by a lot of that CC, but Avo's gone down, so the Bastion off the map now. Cloudy has much less to keep him honest here. We can start to take some risks.
Yeah, and you see the way that Cloudy's also playing. I mean, around these corners perfectly, right? Just not putting himself in the line of fire as Ice Gnome goes in behind this orbital ray, right? Using the Fortify, just trying to put down some damage on the back line. They get by, but Ghost and Ilpy staying alive, both with support.
Like, what are they doing? Like, I mean, Avo goes down, they're in a 5v4, and they can't push an advantage at all. And that's enough time for Alpha to build up an orbital ray. Playing it the long game, I suppose. And Matrix now going to come in. There is that orbital ray. Top Dragon able to get rid of the drone at the very least here. Cloudy took so much damage even standing in the ray itself. Bros, get off the Ryan. Get off it.
Yeah, and you don't get the Orisa either, right? I mean, Ice Gnome able to just make it around the corner, and then you're just running directly into Avo in Wheels mode, just on the point. As they were looking good on the Sigma early on, right? You won like one fight maybe, and you ended up taking the other point with the Reinhardt. But man, it is now looked good since then.
All right, SRPeakCheck at least. They've got an air matrix to work with. Top Dragon. Okay. At least they punished him for that. I was a little worried that it would be a 2 for 0 either way. Back to spawn with you, SRPeakCheck, and we can fight for a decider flashpoint now. How does that sound?
Oh, we're definitely going to decide our flashpoint. I mean, this is just throwaway time here for SRPeakCheck. This will be a back-to-back for one-man army. So one-man army will take this flashpoint as we move on to a final one. Inside
It's
this
an
open
interesting
courtyard
one.
too, Mitch.
Yeah.
This is going to be, I mean, this is going to be, how are you going to keep the Reinhardt alive
So
here?
you believe maybe the balcony side of the map here with the Rhine and try and like use that advantage to...
Yeah, but that balcony, you're going to have to come down
At some
right?
point,
I
yes.
mean, if you're a one-man army and you're smart, right? You just sit on the point behind the fountain there and just wait, right? There's no real, like, I mean, what, the Baptiste poke damage, right? You know, Juno as well. Like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, one-man army are more than happy to try and force this engagement. So it's a TP forward. It doesn't really get used though, more of a bluff than anything else. But the sim ultimate basically gives you the point for free here for SRPeakCheck, and they're happy with that. I think that's a worthwhile spend considering how dangerous it can be to play Ryan here, and they can get back to that high ground pretty quickly with a sim TP. Okay, defensive use of that.
Artillery strength.
I'm fine with it. I mean, it meant the fight couldn't really emerge from his Wraith Walk inside enemy territory. Shatter onto Avo is all that connects there, but it looks like they're knocked to the low ground, or they give it up. So SRPeakCheck backing up. Amp Matrix, though, means Isom has to respect it. Daned has fallen, though. And that sim now no longer a factor. Avo dominating here from this high ground, sending in attack grenades and getting Wheels mode to really oppress this Ryan. Death Blossom is short-lived here, wilts before our very eyes. And a one-man army able to flip the point back. But SRPeakCheck, dare I speak this into existence, can still win the map on the Ryan, but they are playing on ultra-hard mode.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Rhine there, right? In the corner, Immortality Field just getting pummeled down by the Bastion. I mean, that's the best as you can handle it. Now you come into this next fight here, SRPeakCheck. Nothing to really work with. They're going to have Rally. They're going to have Terror Surge as well here. Some good ultimates to be able to use. This is going to be Orbital Ray. Not able to get it off. That is absolutely brutal.
No sun shining on SRPeakCheck's parade today, apparently.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm so tilted.
That's like... your one kind of win condition there, and the orbital array just about to pop off, and doesn't even come out.
Okay. Run to Ryan back again, Cloudy. Love a man who's consistent. Here we go. Terra Surge going to catch all of SRPeakCheck inside of it, and they are blended up as they deserve, because they've taken this map and they've head first plunged it down the gurgler. You better wash your hands after this one, SRPeakCheck. I don't know what to say about that. That is a throw sticking to this Ryan comp.
I mean, they looked good on the Sigma early on. That definitely gave them some trouble on the other side, right? Top Dragon had to change off of the Genji, move over to the far and some other stuff, and then they went to the Reinhardt, and it was just not it there on Suravasa. That is one that SRPeakCheck definitely could have ended up taking, right? I know in control of that one at the start, that they just yeah, they throw that one down.
I mean, again, they're a team that walks into each of these matches knowing we're going to get counterpicked if we play Ryan, so we need to have a really cohesive plan to win, otherwise we're going to not win. They almost won, despite their best efforts. However, they are overcome by the Orisa-based comp. Let's go to the desk while I get some anger management classes very quickly. We'll be back, of course, for the other half of this.
Yeah, we can't help you with anger management because we're struggling here. We're collectively struggling.
I'm having a great time.
Hey, you're going up 2-0, on Suravasa, and then let's die on a Reinhardt hill.
We're this close. We were this
switch
close.
back to Reinhardt. Add a Reaper in the mix. Why don't you? Very aspirational compositions. Why? Analysts, why? Please, someone? Anyone?
Oh God, it was so painful to just see them like, oh, Bastion used wheels mode. Okay, the power spike is over. Now we can re-engage, and then Top Dragon just rains hell from above. It was that Suravasa. The epitome of just Reinhardt pain.
The Sig was a really smart pick, right?
was.
Because the Sig kind of counters this Orisa style with all the spam heroes, the Bastion. It's a great rollout, and they snowball that to win 2 consecutive points. And then they go back to the Rhine, which actually, in fairness, when they first went back to the Rhine, it made sense to me. You baited the enemy to a Sig mirror. You go to the Rhine. Rhine's good into that matchup, into Sig, right? We saw a couple big pins out of Cloudy. He really knows how to dominate a favored matchup. But then the Orisa comes back out, and there's kind of no final response. I feel like maybe SRPeakCheck just got a little overconfident, feeling like, we're up 2-0, like, let's win this with our comfort picks. I think if they had gone back to Sigma once the Orisa comes out, I think they'd probably find a
If
flashpoint
they had gone
win.
back to Sigma.
But that
Cloudy,
wasn't gonna happen.
why didn't you swap back to Sigma?
That's the thing. I knew it wasn't going to happen. I knew it should happen, but I also knew that it wouldn't. And that's kind of the world we live in when we watch SRPeakCheck play
It is
Ryan.
indeed. I mean, yeah, map 1, Aoma won it, but it was a close one. Map 2, SRPeakCheck, they made it work. They made it work with that Reinhardt. And while from a compositional standpoint, we do see Aoma having the answers to it, obviously, SRPeakCheck are playing it on a very high level. So they managed to edge one out, but this was just a little painful.
It was a little painful. But still, I believe. Look, Danet has a great Symmetra. You can TP around. You can play around the Bastion power spike. You can make it work. Maybe there are better maps in the pool you can go to now, where maybe Top Dragon, the spam Pharah poke doesn't take you down. Great barrage, for example, utilizing that when the lamp is down from the Baptiste. There is hope still. There is hope still, Zoe. It is winnable. It is quite winnable.
We have been. Yeah, you know what was winnable? Suravasa was very
okay, but it was one of. This is why you best of
Which
5. It's not best of 1.
map are you
Where
going
are
to
we
play
going?
Ryan on, Johnny?
Yeah, where are we going?
Have you heard Space Station in the past, back when they were on Spitfire? Gibraltar is a Reinhardt map. Just TP around on the high ground. No, they can make it work.
I think it's like Rialto, but man, I will say that Bastion Orisa dismantles Ryan on Rialto.
That was Ramatra Punch map pick, I believe. I think they like playing
Rialto
dirty on
is
Rialto.
the best Rhine map left in the pool. But these are pretty terrible Rhine maps. I mean, King's Row is
Midtown?
sort of okay. Midtown is not okay to play Rhine.
They can make it work.
Maybe the sim, maybe the unconventional sim looks.
Maybe look towards a Sigma map.
But there's just so much range.
Sigma map? Zoe.
Sigma map.
No.
Don't say the S word, okay? We're talking about Reinhardt here, all right?
It's a Reinhardt game. We're just living in it. I feel like it's got to be. Rialto for me is this, but then Hybrid is rough. Like King's Row, 3rd point as a Reinhardt. It's just sad. You're just looking up at those high grounds, and there's just death raining
Even
down.
first on the high ground, if your defensive Orisa is holding high ground,
first
you're
and-
like,
and third
what angle should we
rough for
take here,
Ryan.
bud? Yeah, so it's not King's Row. It's not 2016 anymore. You don't want to go there. That's I can say for sure.
Okay, so my big takeaway from where we could possibly take it is
Reinhardt is
nothing
really viable.
is good.
No, Reinhardt is really viable.
Blizzard
All
World's
maps.
got to be one of the worst Rhine maps in the pool. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we see what SRPeakCheck are really made of. Can they play Ryan on Gibraltar? Can they hold the pit for 4 minutes without even attempting to fight the opponents?
That sounds
like,
really
you know,
sad.
honestly, I kind of hope they can, but I feel like it's not that realistic against players like Top Dragon and Avo.
This is elimination too. They're playing backs against the wall. The team which loses this one is out. And they're likely going to be out for the entire, like, for the rest of the season, obviously, because the next thing coming up is
spice
Stockholm.
in a little Sigma. Like, it would really actually make Elma's life so much harder.
How are we feeling? How are we feeling about Junkertown?
I'm kind of here for it.
Let's hold Spawn.
Yeah, no.
Let's hold Spawn.
I think they should hold Spawn. If they're going to play Ryan, I think Spawn holding, maybe you can 3-fight first point, fight 3 times with a fast comp. I think this is actually sort of plausible. Like, third point, if you can get a defensive hold where you're holding the choke points for the attackers to come through, actually kind of awkward to deal with Orion when he's like holding those corners. I think this makes sense to me. I can sort of see the vision here. I think the key though is that, like, when Aoma goes all in hard counter with the Bastion, Pharah, like, just throw the Sig out there. It's going to force the Bastion to swap, and then you can go back to the Rhine. Like, you just got to mix it up a little bit.
I can hear a concept of an idea here.
I'm desperate, okay? I'm grasping at straws here. I'm like, in LH Crowdy's rank game, please, bro, play Sigma one time, bro, just one fight. But he's not listening. I don't know. I think this is a Rhine strat. I'm feeling it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's from our resident.
This is like LH Cloudy on LA Gladiators throwback. This is like the one map LA Gladiators will play Cloudy.
As long as it's a throwback and not just a throw, I'm here for it. Junkertown coming up next. Can Aoma close this one out? Will we see the Rhine staying alive? We find out in just a second. Mitch, Matt, take it away.
Must we?
Yes.
Please.
Please.
All right.
Must we? Yes, we must.
Yes.
It is our duty.
Again, we might see the Sigma sprinkled in a little bit more here. I think that this map very reasonable to play that. And yeah, like we saw in the past, like defense teams on Ryan, they play Ryan Sim up in front of the spawn. It's worked. Like, it has worked over time. You look over the years back in the Overwatch League. We might be in an era of the game now where that's a little bit less of a viable approach here. But this is a very reasonable comp for SRPeakCheck. I say that as Fight locks their Junkrat. I do like the flavor win, if nothing else.
Yeah, we'll see if they actually lock on to this, right? I mean, in the spawn on offense, some time to change, and yup, here we go. So, does Vi play? Are we gonna see Junkrat Reinhardt offense? Junkertown?
Okay. So,
Yeah,
similar
okay.
idea to what we saw in Lijiang Control Center. You can obviously pop the Bastion up and put some decent pressure on him at long range because there's no shield or defensive cooldown to eat this up outside of the Javelin spin. So you can take some space behind it. This, like, constant pressure from Fi is going to leave its mark. It's going to force, like, you know, Donghun and Alpha into positions where they have to take risks to heal.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, they get that kill on the Ice Dome as well as Top Dragon just so over the top, putting down some serious damage as Avo gonna go away from the Bastion, go over to Ash, so that's like a force of the Junkrat, right? We saw that on Lijiang Tower, so SRPeakCheck gonna get close to taking this first point just off of this, you know, really first initial kill.
I like it a lot. That's a great opener. Top Dragon also doesn't have any space anymore as far as, so moving through the chokes, you're just liable to get shot in the face by any one of these SRPeakCheck heroes. Okay, we don't touch in this economy. That's fine. Hands off policy for a one-man army. They got no choice.
Ice Gnome would have been completely dead, right? Then Avo gets taken out, even when it goes going to the high ground. There's more changes coming in here for a one-man army as Top Dragon moves away from Pharah. Now we'll play Genji. So the Pharah, I like the Pharah, but definitely was a little bit too vulnerable in the sky, especially trying to come on out. As Iceland will go over and play D.Va. So this is our first look at D.Va here in the series.
Yeah, again, I mean, this is a part of the map where, I mean, she can be so effective with transitioning between these high and low grounds. I also think linking up a Top Dragon to put pressure down on Fi as well. Genji, of course, could deflect those remote mines. Pretty devastating if that happens. Just in general, hard to hit for a Junkrat. And Ice Gnome here floating up and down. They're running out of space, though, to use the D.Va to her fullest now because the cart's already got through the overpass. Ice Gnome here pressuring backline. Danny can really only look on and throw a couple turrets in the way of the D.Va, but SRPeakCheck have managed to protect themselves well enough from this onslaught of the D.Va. And here comes all the ultimates for SRPeakCheck. And this is a well-earned lead they get after such a strong showing in the first part of the map. Top Dragon can get the Baptiste. There needs to be more than this, though. Danet is down. What about this ill? I don't know about that one. Nice little shatter, okay. Point made by Cloudy, no worries.
I mean, that's also the rally used there by Donghun in a most certainly losing fight. As it's going to be almost impossible, Mitch, for the D.Va to like battle with the Sim in the mix, right? It's great for the defense matrix there for some of the things that obviously the Junkrat would do, but against the Sim, it's going to be absolutely brutal. And now Fi's not even playing Junk anymore. He's going to play Ashe.
Yeah, switching now a little bit. Again, maybe concerned about like having some mobility away from the Genji. That might be a problem. Ghost on Baptiste this whole series has looked fantastic. And again, if you want to make this comp work, you have to innovate to a degree. And they've kept the Sim SRPeakCheck using a la the old London Spitfire approach, taking Ryan to a bunch of really hostile maps for him and overcoming those issues by being able to reposition on a dime here. Big disengage for SRPeakCheck, but they've managed to get Cloudy out as well. Bob at least will give some room for a one-man army to breathe.
Yeah, the bomb just gets thrown in there by Avo, and it's going to get right underneath where you see that door closes. So it's going to force him into a really tough spot. Top Dragon going up high here with a blade. Gets one.
Honestly, not bad, considering you do that through an Immortality field and all the Sim towers that were set up already by Daned. So annoying getting through that Sim infrastructure.
Yes, Ice still got weak, but some help of Avo, able to make it on out, is going to get rid of the Sim turrets there. You do have the Sim wall coming up here for SRPeakCheck. It's been so good throughout this series, caused a lot of problems. I mean, going to deny Avo all the space up on the high ground, so we'll see if SRPeakCheck decides to use it here.
That's unfortunate for Avo. He needs to hit his shots from here. That might be stating the obvious, but that's kind of why Ice Storm is playing out in the open, to keep SRPeakCheck at arm's length. But the TP allows him to circumvent that defensive layer that the D.Va rather tries to erect. Top Dragon's found Fi, and will eventually fall though, as it'll be very low. He's able to stay alive. Still, they've got Orbit Array here should they need it. Donghun should be fine. Daned was charged up and looking threatening.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge though, right? You get a hold really in a fight and not really lose everybody, where they end up using that Sim wall. It's been so strong. It's a knockdown from both the Rhine and the Brig there. It's going to have Donghun end up using the rally.
Order right here, and that's to help Ice Storm, I guess, play aggressively as he'd like to. Donghun with the rally elsewhere. So 2 healing zones for a one-man army to play in, but they've had to back off. Ice Storm is too low right now, and the cart's moving. SRPeakCheck, harebrained. They just don't care. They try and get as much progress as they can, even in a short-handed situation. And they're knocking on the door at the end of the map.
Yeah, it's going to be Isom here on the high ground, trying to control this area, seeing if he's going to end up deciding to push on out, as everybody from SRPeakCheck down below. They got to be careful, though. It's going to be an Ant Matrix here used by Ghost in a really nice spot.
Also, Fi able to use this. Oh, my goodness, Avo. Okay, gets smashed. Ghost now has to use that Immortality field, try and stick around with that one. Ice Storm has to back off of it there with the defense matrix getting stretched to its limit. And okay, SRPeakCheck. I won't say we're unfamiliar with your game, because at this point it's like the back of our hand, but this look on Junkertown has been fresh and it's been innovative.
Yeah, I mean, definitely giving some trouble to a one-man army, right? I know a one-man army coming in, trying to do some different things with the Pharah here at the start. And SRPeakCheck playing even a Junkrat just kind of works their way right on through it. And now, I mean, what do you even do here if you're a one-man army, right? I think does SRPeakCheck, do you think, play close to the door here on defense? I'd imagine so.
There's no cost to doing so, and they can sim TP away to a safer spot and play in the secondary choke on this first stage, provided they can get out unscathed. I think that with the Mei as well. This is quite good. So. Obviously, the Mei is pretty good if you're playing up close to spawn, because you block off one of the exits, you deny like a crossfire from the defenders as they try and come out of what should be advantage territory, because they can't be shot inside spawn and they can shoot out. Yeah. You sort of cut half that off with the Mei. You also give yourself a screen to retreat behind if you feel like you've overstayed.
Yeah, I think this is the right move. You know, play close at the door. you could have played with either the Mei or even the Junkrat, right? I think you consistently keep this sim. It's definitely been, I mean, it's almost essential, right? When you have that Reinhardt in the mix, is I believe, is that Cloudy up on the high ground right now?
Right outside the door. Might just drop off there after hitting a fire strike. Or just stand there. DoorDash has arrived, Icenom. You want to collect your order? Yeah, there's that Mei wall. So that's what we're talking about, cutting off those sort of reinforcement routes here. Cloudy gives up a lot of shield HP for this, but by God, you had better believe it's worth every point of damage. Now, though, maybe not so much.
You end up losing Cloudy. He tries to back up there because his shield actually had nothing left on it. But you can still have this Mei contest the point for now. Just trying to get a position here as Ilpi. Just trying to keep Fi alive. I mean, dude, it's going to be hard to dislodge them.
And that's why Duncan's on the Ana here as well. You know that this Ryan comp's going to be grouped up. Bayonade basically guts this forward hold anyway. But you've done your job. You've just gotten 50 seconds basically of time built, and you're going like roughly 1-for-1 in these fights. And then you're Mei walling off the spawn, making it even harder to get out. It adds some extra stall. I think you're fine with this. You also built an orbital ray doing this.
I mean, you see Cloudy there coming back off the spawn, just gets in, starts swinging, right? Doesn't even really matter. You're going to get everybody back together here for SRPeakCheck. Like you mentioned, they build up an orbital ray alpha, not even at 50% here at the moment. You're totally fine with this if you're SRPeakCheck. I mean, look, you win a fight here if you're SRPeakCheck. You're like below 2 minutes on the clock almost here for one-man army, so pretty decent.
See how the Mei wall gives a screen to cross through this TP, get across the choke and play from inside the building. The issue is if the card gets too far forward, they can't contest it from this room, so there's only a short time you can actually do this. But look where the card is. Yeah, it's not moving anywhere. Top Dragon has to go for a big barrage in that close room. It's not a bad way to dig people out here. I don't know if Ghost had a immortality field or had enough cooldown. Either way, now SRPeakCheck get drawn into a more protracted engagement, which is something they want to avoid.
Yeah, that was not as good there for SRPeakCheck, right? A lot of ultimates used there for a one-man army. Pushing on in. Icenom actually goes to Winston here, probably just to get back, try and get a touch. So I wonder if SRPeakCheck, if you're able to get another fight. So looks like everybody trying to come up here towards that high ground, potentially looking to get another crack at this. It's going to be a Bob here up on the high ground. Blizzard in the sim wall thrown in there for SRPeakCheck. Got
out here, LH Cloudy now. Would have been far forward, but Fi and everybody else for SRPeakCheck able to push up behind that sim wall. By the way, this Winston quite good against the sim and Baptiste respectively, so even if it was a mobility choice for a one-man army, it could still be very effective here. Cloudy either cancels the charge or looks not to go too far forward. Now Orbital Ray to play in for a one-man army, and Ilpi's gone down. This should be it, but it's taken a one-man army almost an era to get to this first checkpoint.
And also, that is just a horrible spot for the Reinhardt to be fighting in, right? I mean, out in the open there, right by that first checkpoint, you see when we're on with Cloudy trying to find any target to get close. And not able to do so. Just a really difficult spot. Doesn't even end up deciding to use the Shatter, even though he had it potentially there. So ends up holding on to it here as Farah from Top Dragon starting to put down a lot of damage, but you see the switch to Winston makes the switch to Reaper here for Fi, and we know how that plays out.
Poorly for Icenom, as we just saw unfold. Still, Top Dragon, though, a little bit of an issue for SRPeakCheck, because that comp is not geared to deal with this Farah at all. But we said the same on Runasapi, and that map went a different way than we expected. Either way, yeah, counter on counter. Icenom still on the Winston here.
Yeah, with the Farah, like how you mentioned a little bit earlier in the series, they're almost just relying on like the Juno and the BAP to be able to kind of deal with that Farah, right? But if Icenom on the Winston can put a lot of pressure on that backline, it makes it a little bit easier for Top Dragon to stay alive.
This is something that one-man army didn't have available last time they had Farah, right? They were still playing like this Orisa setup that's very much more frontline than the Winston. Who's going to do this? In the meantime, Top Dragon should be able to do whatever he wants. Ilpi gets taken down by the Primal. This is why Icenom may be stuck to this pick. What's that TP gonna do? Intimidate me? Icenom says, bring out your reserves. I'll take them on as well. Get a little bit of a rinse down by these sim turrets is Icenom, and eventually will succumb, but Kart is getting awful close, and Top Dragon now gets to play from a privileged position.
But they might be able to contest here though, right? I mean, you end up losing your tank, and then now they're gonna run onto the point to contest, so that's gonna be not able to take that second checkpoint. Yep. Oh, two really long-range pin there from Cloudy, so nice stuff here from SRPeakCheck is that kill onto Ice Gnome. That's good enough for them to get back and get a
Cloudy
touch.
serving up a triple serving of a bit of big McLarge, huge Happy Meal. I'm here for it. Nice triple shatter. And obviously the follow-up there was very much available. You switched to Wrecking Ball here, Ice Gnome. I feel like the Captain America gif where he sits on the seat backwards. It looks like he's about to give a lecture to a kid in high school. Where are we looking to go? Wrap around, and you cannot, again, pressure this back line down. Baptiste doesn't like dealing with ball because he only has that vertical mobility. All right, harass, pressure. Again, the idea is the same, to give Top Dragon good sight lines. Plenty of space to work. And still, I mean, come on. Isom is trying to disrupt the backline. They still just shoot Top Dragon out of the sky. I feel like you can't be allowing that to happen. LP eventually goes down, though, but SRPeakCheck are chilling. Orbital Ray, they're getting a tan. And Alpha is traded out at least for LP here.
I feel like, especially on this map, I'm definitely a little bit more worried about like a Winston than like a Ball, right? Like the kind of routes here for the Wrecking Ball aren't as great as some other maps you would think in the pool. Where right here, I mean, sure, you're gonna have mines coming up, but I mean, we're at 30 seconds on the clock. I feel like the Winston definitely does a better job at attacking that backline, but the Ball is definitely a little bit more survivable here against the Reaper. So maybe that's the idea with the
Still
Ball.
no second checkpoint for a one-man army, and time is running out. Cue the dramatic music. Icenom maybe hoping to use the tech to get onto the ledge there and not drop to the ground, but we'll overlook it. Cloudy is deep here, but in no risk of dying, especially with Ghost's amplification matrix to keep the Ryan hearty, and that's why we want to try and address this. Top Dragon K goes down, maybe a barrage there. Yep, get a blowback. You hate to see it. Ghost going to fall though now. The Baptiste out of the picture. It's all down to LP, and it's going to be an orbital ray here for a one-man army to get them coming forward, and that's still not going to be enough. SRPeakCheck toss their hat into the ring on Junkertown, and they'll be forcing us to a decider map.
Yes, it's a game 5 scenario here between these two. As SRPeakCheck uses the Reinhardt here on Junkertown to get us across the line. I mean, that is I know as odd of a scenario as you get. Yeah,
that's fine. I mean,
I completely agree.
To me, this is very different than sticking on the Ryan Cop and Suravasa, where you're sort of struggling. This here, like, there's a real game plan. The Symmetra sets up the Ryan for success and really makes this composition that otherwise can be really telegraphed a little bit harder to predict, and to try and get a feel for the pace seems like a big challenge for a one-man army.
A one-man army, though, with a hybrid map pick, I mean, against the Reinhardt team, like, you shouldn't, I mean, that shouldn't be a loss, right? I mean, we'll get to that in a bit, but you see the Junkrat here used from SRPeakCheck at the start, right? Puts a lot of pressure onto that Orisa in the corner, and then we start to get into a little bit of a cycle of changes, right? I know Ice Gnome played what? The Orisa, some Diva, Winston, Wrecking Ball, forced to play a lot of different things, and they were never really able to figure it out.
Yeah, the Shatter here was pretty nice. This was, coming out of spawn. This was just as it looked like a checkpoint was on the cards, but I think there was an overextension from Ice on that left them without a tank. This is that last fight here. Note the orbital ray from the high ground here for the attackers doesn't really help them much in the locus of the fighting itself. Alpha ends up getting caught out, and again, like, LH Cloudy is doing as he pleases. I've got to say, like, you probably can't make this Rhine Comp work, Matt, without an incredible Baptiste player. I think Ghost is really a specialist in that role, and has been a problem. Shutting him down has required a lot of resources from a one-man army. Resources they may have rather used elsewhere. See here, SRPeakCheck, big healing done in general. But look, a relatively competitive map, all things considered.
Yeah, no, really competitive across the board. I feel like a one-man army just at times is having a difficult job cracking some of the things that SRPeakCheck wants to do. Like you think about when we watched Ramatra Punch play in NA, right? There were teams like Shingami who were able to kind of obviously come out on top against them, figure it out, right? But SRPeakCheck, I mean, it feels like, moving around a lot more with that sim, having that in the mix, right? It's Fi being able to play whether like Junkrat, Reaper, all different types of stuff. it's been really difficult for a one-man army.
I do
to
feel
deal
like
with.
they're a couple steps ahead of a team like Runasapi Punch in NA because they have a ton of things around this run that really facilitates it, even in the face of these counter comps. So they're not going to complain about getting counter comp. They're ready for it. They're expecting it. That's just, you know, for them, it's a matter of course when they bring in this kind of setup. And SRPeakCheck looking down the barrel potentially of one of their deeper runs. I don't know if I've ever seen them get past the first round of the upper bracket here. This is quite a huge moment for a team that sometimes...
Uncharted territory.
Right. For a team that sometimes has been actually absent from the main event. This is great to see from a team that wants to stick to their guns and play the comps that suits them the most. But as you mentioned, we're now in hybrid map territory. It was teased on the desk. Jake sort of saying, maps like Blizzard World are pretty bad for Ryan, and King's Row, third phase of the map, is a problem because of that high ground. But so is Junkertown second and third for that Ryan comp. If you have a
Junkertown everywhere is pretty terrible.
So you have a
for
symmetric comp.
Yeah.
You see, you can actually sort of circumvent a lot of those pain points for Reinhardt players, you know, on that map of Junkertown. And there's no reason if we go to like a King's Row, for example, you can't do the same there.
Blizzard World's probably the worst, I would say.
Well, I know. I mean, I know it's
Reinhardt.
King's Row. I've been able to see it. That's why I'm sort of segueing into it. But yeah.
Okay, so that's an. I mean, I think you can. I mean, look, we've seen like in the past, right? SSG able to make this work, right? With Reinhardt TPing around. And we talk about how Orisa sometimes can't access high ground, right? Especially when just playing in that like Juno kind of comp. You can access high ground with the Reinhardt here with the TPs, right? You know, put some pressure on the back line. So I think this is a really interesting choice here for a one-man army.
It's very reasonable. You can do a whole lot here, and it's a little bit hard for Aoma as they defend. They've picked the map, so likely they're attacking first, but it's a little bit hard for them to know where to expect this sim TP to be used, because you can TP into the hotel, you can TP across the choke into the defender's sort of side of the map with a Symmetra setup. You can do it to the high ground in 3 or so different locations, right? You've got a ton of options, and also you can bait rotations out by just throwing a TP down and ultimately never making any use of it. And we've seen like, okay, what's a great pick against this Reaper Symmetra comp? Farah, she seems great against this, but you got a backline of shooters here on SRPeakCheck, and they're more than happy to try and clip those wings. Here are the drops, by the way. This is for the main event, so October 10th through 13th. They're split into 2 parts. You'll notice OWCS recolors of Soldier 76 are available in both those ones. Also, some fantastic-looking fall-themed in-game cosmetics. I'm a big fall fan, even if I hate pumpkin spice, but this is still a good time of year, and you can obviously represent your indulgence for this season.
Are you a night mode or a day mode type of person?
Do you mean in terms of like, you know, like Twitter, for example, Discord? Yeah, I'm a night mode guy for sure.
What are you? Oh, I was gonna say, are you different on different apps?
No.
Like, is that
you
kind
don't
of
use
thing?
dark
I
mode,
was
though,
like,
right? I think I've seen you with light mode on social media.
I'm like you know, set it to the automatic, right? And during the day, rock the day mode.
It
nighttime,
changes?
rock the night. I'm you know, yeah, little changes.
I guess that's makes sense, honestly. Didn't really think about that, but I guess when you cross time zone, I mean, that's fine. That's a whole nother story. Fair enough. It's day mode here, of course, over at King's Row, at least in this iteration of the map. And we'll see what SRPeakCheck want to bring here. A Junkrat comes out on the defense side. Fine, I think. You can obviously, you know, there's a lot of great defensive areas that you can ensconce yourself within, and you know, just go for a bit of spam damage here to make it harder to challenge this Rhine shield. But what is it going to be from a one-man army?
Yes, for a one-man army, I mean, still a lot of time, right?
Yeah, we're not getting ahead
to,
of ourselves looking at this comp.
Yeah, you know, this is a Zarya comp would be a little bit of a curveball. Hey, you know what? For our tournament lives, let's pick King's Row so we can play
just
Zarya.
say something though?
But against the
damage,
junk,
yes. Against the junk nades, also your Farah can get a bubble, I guess. Okay, yeah.
No.
Ice Snow, can you not? Honestly, on the as expected, gonna be on the Orisa here. Cloudy. Going to do the very nuanced and hard to telegraph move of charge people from this position across the gap. I'm definitely wary of it.
I mean, they also have the ability to get him out of there with the sim TP,
they have to use the cooldown for that. I think this is very troll for Cloudy to play here. They're like constantly like looking behind, like eyes in the back of their head. Cloudy does drop to contest here. He needs to get closer to Ice Storm. That shield though is, it's looking ragged, Matt. Okay, TP.
Yeah, he's trying to conserve some of that shield as it gets closer and closer to this first point here.
I do think Cloudy's supposed to be taking that TP and not falling back there, but maybe just a bit of a disconnect between he and Daned. Oh, okay. Take a couple swings at the far and Cloudy TP's across the gap. Now, not fully stranded. You can obviously charge back to the rest of your team. Hilarious setups, though, for the Ryan. These guys are really trying to think outside of the box. Drops down again. Shield about half health here, and oh my goodness, Fi. You will not see a jump killer Farah very often at all. That is a rare thing.
Jake Overwatch is probably going crazy right now in the studio, seeing the Junkrat action as the support's able to keep everybody alive. You're gonna have double support ult here. Is a lot of damage being done by Top Dragon, but now we got Avo, so now they're going all out. I mean, we're going Bastion and Farah, trying to deal with this Ryan.
You are going to fully counter this comp. We're out of extra lives here for a one-man army. His orbital ray, Alpha, well, can't do too much of that when you're scattered across the map, I'm afraid. Top Dragon does fall here, so that Farah that gets in with the barrage on Ghost doesn't get any other supports. And an orbital ray here, maybe a little on the superfluous side for SRPeakCheck, but hey, easy come, easy go.
Nah, you got your junk still alive. You're still in it.
This is so great.
Chilling.
Oh, I'm here for it. 90 seconds left, by the way.
So, I mean, yeah, this has been terrible for a one-man army. You try and push up now, even with the rally, right? They're going to just use that amp matrix, and you have a really difficult time dealing with the Bastion. No, I mean the Junkrat with the amp matrix here.
The Bastion doing nothing right now. Ice Storm has to push up ahead of it. Terror Surge here. No, get this break line of sight from it. Cloudy able to get out. Looks like he was stunned briefly by Donghun.
How is he still alive? I mean,
lots of healing.
It's insane.
Alpha's at 47%. And Top Dragon dies to yet another Junkrat, by the way. Oh my. Jesus, take the wheel. This is getting out there.
Donnie gets the kill on Avo. Avo goes to finish him off by the Mega Health Pack and then dies by the turret. So both of these players coming off a spawn. We got a Winston swap now for a one-man army. Kiri as well. I mean, what in the world?
Whatever it takes.
Shatter available here.
Bastion Winston, actually. Low-key Imber.
Yeah, Bastion Winston.
Oh, okay. All right, so wants to pressure the backline a little bit. Ice Storm if he possibly can. Cloudy, though. Winston dives in. Ice Storm ultra low as this happens. Avo, though, breaks that Ryan shield, and, well, the solo Winston predictably dies. What? Here comes Cloudy's Shatter. Avo hit by that, but knocked out of the way. Here's the charge complete, and 10 seconds left. A one-man army are struggling. Top Dragon finally battles his demons. But unfortunately, there's still a game to win. And Ice Storm here is going to try and contest this one, but the Ryan is in the way. And it's an utter capitulation here for a one-man army. There's no other way of putting it, really. Bastion ultimate comes out. Ice Storm very, very low. Alpha seen better days as well, but very close to an orbital ray. Will never have a chance to use it. Another dive in from Ice Storm, still trying to fight this one out. Gets a Suzu from the Kiriko, and it only prolongs his life for a couple more seconds. He'll be with an orbital ray here. Then everything you could ask for and more at the hands of SRPeakCheck. A one-man army are conquered by the Ryan One Tricks. What a match.
They don't even get a tick as well. I mean,
this is incredible. What a match this has been. They get full hold here. I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but that was... There's no ticks on the point here for a one-man army. So SRPeakCheck can basically set up, get the, get the deck chairs out, put their feet up, and capture that point A to be done here.
Maybe we get a draw. That's what this series feels like. A little draw action.
Honestly.
Yeah, the only thing this series is mixing is a draw and then a Hanaoka game 6. Map 6, a Throne of Anubis game 6.
It's not out of the question here. However, it's going to take something pretty special here from a one-man army to hold SRPeakCheck at bay. And they're going to have like a Sim Ryan-based composition, TPing forwards, Fi just denying all of his close quarters areas. Oh, man. They're asking for a lot.
I mean, just a tick, right? I mean, that's all you're like. Even one tick on the checkpoint there for a one-man army. Maybe you feel okay about it, right? Because this grind's not the easiest to make work, but I mean, not able to even get a tick, that's brutal. So it'll be one-man army. They'll be playing Ana here on defense. Donghun set up on the high ground. So, what is this? What we're gonna get? Okay, so SRPeakCheck is gonna play Reaver Junk Kiri Juno here.
He's got the OG Mayhem skin as well. This guy's such a clown, man. I can't. All right, big
a few players weak up here though.
Sorry.
All right, hold on. It's all right, Top Dragon able to deal with it. Hey, you never know, man. You never know. That looked like.
I'm sorry, but he's got the original Mayhem skin. It's like, it's not serious.
he's got the McDonald's Mayhem Doom skin.
Oh.
They're just gonna jump right back in. I mean, the fact that they only need one tick, right?
This is so unserious, man. I'm sorry.
She gets deleted there by Top Dragon.
Okay.
This is the main event. You need to
I need to get sorted here.
Here
we go.
Together.
SRPeakCheck getting it together as well. Ryan with the Cassidy here in that sim.
Fi has played every damage dealer throughout this series.
Get someone that can do it all. TP gets LH Cloudy up to the high ground with everybody else. They really want to push to take this space. They're going to force some of Aoma down to the low ground here. Cloudy with a chance of getting squished against the wall if you're not careful. Good little sleep dart though. This allows Donghun to skip jump away whilst Avo goes to town.
We're
still not serious. I do not think we're in the postcode of serious still.
All right. So they're just building towards ultimates here at SRPeakCheck. That's what they're working on. The issue is a one-man army also is building towards ultimates as well. So we've already gotten a bit of time off the clock. We're gonna get below 2 minutes here. You're starting to get into the danger zone here.
Cloudy.
Charge right on in.
Still,
you just need a tick.
Oh, okay. Avo needs to be very careful. Ghost is sharp as attack. Here comes a nano boost onto a top dragon. Barrage comes in. Immortality Field doesn't quite do the job. It saves some players. Ghost still falls though. So we have a 1-for-1 favoring the attackers, of course. But a one-man army want to draw the battle lines very far forward towards SRPeakCheck spawn.
Still not been able to get through, really make anything happen. This could be huge though, right? Double support ult here for SRPeakCheck. Bob gonna be thrown
Cloudy's
out.
in trouble.
Just gonna put a lot of pressure on Cloudy.
A good Immortality Field, absolutely necessary there. Bob's going to be brought down now. Again, more ticking dynamite damage on the back line of SRPeakCheck. Just one tick, bro. Come on, my Masters promo game. Just one tick, please. Ghost over the top here. Nicely done. Top Dragon brought down. Fire pretty deadly on that Cassidy. It will be playing from inside his own orbital ray, and Ice Storm eventually falls to the pressure of LH Cloudy. Alpha trying to jump away. It's going to be up to Avo, but that is a brutal wall. He's got to stand on the point to fight. Absolutely dominated by the sim, and of course it wouldn't be complete without Cloudy having a shadow denied him at the end of the map. And SRPeakCheck, well, they don the red nose and the rainbow wig, but they still come out as victors here.
Hey, they get it done. They get it done here against a one-man army. It gets a little bit of chaotic there towards the end there on King's Row, but they're able to make it work. One-man army couldn't stop this Reinhardt comp. They tried just about everything. We saw a Reaper Junkrat Doomfist roll out here on King's Row. This is a fun one. This one will live on.
I think the only way that this game would be complete is to have a post-match interview with whatever player it's going to be eating as they answer.
The only thing that would have made this one super complete is a Jake is in your comms moment. This series desperately needed a Jake in your comms.
It's one of those games where I reminded I'm way too old for this. Let's go to the desk to break down this match. It will be SRPeakCheck advancing to our upper semis.
Right, I'm sorry, I can't offer Jake in the comms, but I can offer him here on the desk together with our resident Reinhardt connoisseur, who was feasting.
I'm so proud.
Watching this one. I'm proud, also a little disappointed. It's just this was very emotional. This was peak EU Overwatch, and you can't tell me otherwise.
It kind of was. Yeah, it kind of was.
Content.
This was content
for the people.
This was for the people.
The SRPeakCheck are a team for the people. That's what we can say from
That's
a series
right.
like this.
My favorite moment was when Mitch just uncontrollably laughed. He couldn't stop himself from laughing when the Doomfist came out with the original.
No, that was a
Mayhem.
sick strap from
Lord
Cloudy.
of Mayhem
Doom
skin.
Junk Reaper, you guys should be playing that in all your ranked games. It's really good.
I think that's
Especially
again
against
not
me.
the PSA.
Yeah, it's really good when you go up against me. That's my secret. That counters me every time. I don't know what to do. And look at this. Let's see the dive. Yeah.
Look at him go.
Yeah. Oh,
This punch, low key.
yeah.
Oh, almost got
yeah.
to do,
Yeah.
oh.
Good work out
The
there.
crazy thing about this entire series is that there were so many moments where I just felt like, is SRPeakCheck taking this serious? Like, it's an elimination match. And this is what they're rocking up with. It worked. It mostly shouldn't have worked, but it worked. And it's a little offensive, but also extremely
These
entertaining.
highlights are brutal. Who's doing this to Cloudy in the back? The Doomfist POV just getting absolutely worked.
This is, yeah,
I
this
mean-
was a fun one. You wanted fun, Johnny.
I wanted fun,
This is
and
what you wanted
we certainly got
after
fun.
this.
I mean, that defense, by the way, with just LH Cloud just lurking in your backline, taking the high ground, just throwing off the attack to begin with, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't work, but look, honestly, I mean, I'm just amazed.
Dude, bro mitigated 123,000 damage. He's putting in work with that shield.
Yeah, I mean,
This is enormous.
honestly, it was so much fun. And honestly, I think I started to struggle a little bit. Playing against the Reinhardt, playing against the Symmetra as well. Like, there's so much pressure. And you saw real on Junkertown when I started flexing between, like, the Winston, which, like, okay, like, I'm actually low-key for the Winston. If you wanted to, try to deal with the Symmetra that way, the backline was quite prone to it there as well.
my God.
That shatter and the teabag. Love to see it. But then you swap over to the Wrecking Ball. Like, I think they could have made some different substitutions to make this work. Alva was pretty much hard stuck onto the Ashe this entire time. Donghyun was hard stuck on the Brig this entire time. And they just kind of like didn't have an answer, like flexibility, hero flexibility, to make it tougher for the Ryan composition. So it was low-key, just SRPeakCheck, just kind of playing their own game and comfortable with the compositions they were playing.
There's
what they were
something about
facing.
those Reinhardt teams. You
I feel
know?
like you got to give credit to the DPS in a big way with Faya and Danid, like constantly counter swapping. I think the Junkrat was actually a pretty smart pick into the Genji Bastion
Crazy
style.
that you would say that.
Hey, unironically good matchup into Genji, right? Can like bounce Genji around, Tyre can counter the blade. Bastion doesn't deal that well with the spam damage. You can kind of peek him from around corners. Most DPS heroes can't comfortably trade with Bastion, but Junkrat actually can be a threat if you kind of sneak up on him. So to be honest, I really like that. I think the sim was really well executed. The Reaper was getting a little chaotic, but it worked. It worked. And I think the DPS being able to execute on such a high level, all the players executing the heroes on such a high level, is how these crazy strategies actually work for them.
We actually have our player of the match joining us now for a quick chat post-game. So please, everyone, welcome to the show, Cloudy. Cloudy, you delivered. We were feasting watching this match. That was a banger. We have a lot of questions, obviously, but let's just start things off with the obvious one. Obviously, you guys are kind of opting out of what is considered the meta. Is that just a comfort level, or do you truly just believe that the Rhine will forever be strong and there is absolutely never a reason to switch?
I mean, Ryan is OP like 90% of the time. I mean, I did play a couple lives of Sigma, but like, why would you swap the best character in the game? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, everyone else flex, but why would you swap Ryan?
Yeah, talk me through that. The Sigma, the LH Cloudy Sigma came out. Have you practiced a lot of Sigma? Thought process going into that. Jake was theorizing that you brought out the Sigma to force the Sigma mirror so then you could play Ryan.
No, I mean, honestly, it's just a Finnish World Cup, because we tried to play that with Reinhardt a little bit. But then Ryan is very bad on the first point, so I decided to cosplay as Vestola for a couple of points, and it worked out pretty well. Honestly, just inspired by the Finnish World Cup team there, nothing else.
Put some respect on it. I am just super curious about the Doomfist there at the end of King's Row. It was a really inspired strategy you guys brought out. The Junkrat Reaper Doomfist dive was really explosive, unpredictable. Some adjectives I might throw around. How did you guys come up with that in the lab? I'm sure that was a lot of preparation, of course, must have gone into it.
I mean, we played stage 3, we played King's Row first point with the Rheinruss, and we got absolutely dismantled every time. So I was like, I want to play Doomfist and punch them. So I punched them in, and then like a straight comp is good on first, right? So it kind of makes sense. I don't know why my guy is playing Junkrat. We told him to go Genji, and then he starts screaming out of spawn, hey, I'm gonna have a rollout. He didn't have a rollout. He was nowhere to be found, but it worked out in the end for us.
Can you go all the way? That's what I'm wondering, Cloudy. Do you think you can go all the way playing Reinhardt? Making a run for it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, we're gonna win the entire tournament. We might have lost one match today, but that was just unlucky. Nothing else.
That's right. Reinhardt's unite. You have two Reinhardts here on the desk with you, so we're obviously rooting for you. You, Reinhardt, will forever live in our hearts. Cloudy, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck in your next match.
Thank you.